A snake with fangs this long should not be able to close its own mouth. Yet somehow, this animal has spent millions of years perfecting the most extreme set of biological weapons any snake has ever evolved. And most people who walk past one never even know it is there, 2 inches. That is how long the fangs of the Gaboon viper can grow. 5 centimeters of hollow, curved, razor-sharp bone, the longest fangs of any venomous snake alive on Earth today. To put that in perspective, the average adult human's index finger from knuckle to tip is roughly 3 inches long. The Gaboon viper's fang gets 2/3 of the way there. Most venomous snakes, your cobras, your rattlesnakes, your mambas, carry fangs measuring somewhere between 1/4 of an inch and 1/2 an inch. Effective, lethal, but modest compared to what the Gaboon viper is carrying. And here is where biology gets strange. A fang 2 inches long creates a serious mechanical problem. If those fangs pointed straight down inside a closed mouth, the snake would impale its own lower jaw every time it shut its mouth. So evolution built a solution that looks less like biology and more like engineering. The fangs are mounted on a rotating maxillary bone, a hinged section of the skull. When the mouth is closed, the fangs fold completely backward, lying flat against the roof of the mouth, sheathed inside a protective membrane. The moment the mouth opens to strike, the hinge rotates forward, the fangs swing down and lock into position, and the snake fires. The entire deployment takes less than 1/2 a second. A biological switchblade loaded inside the skull, ready at all times. And you would never know it was there until it was already buried in your flesh. The Gaboon viper, Bitis gabonica, lives across the rainforests and woodlands of Central and West Africa. It is a heavy-bodied snake. A large adult can reach 5 to 6 feet in length and weigh over 20 pounds, thick as a man's forearm, slow-moving, and almost completely sedentary by choice. And then there is the skin. The Gaboon viper's camouflage is not just good. It is considered among the most effective passive camouflage of any vertebrate on the planet. The pattern is a precise mosaic of brown rectangles, cream triangles, tan ovals, and deep purple patches, a perfect geometric match to the texture and color variation of dead, dry leaves in dappled forest light. Field researchers have described placing their foot 6 inches from a Gaboon viper and only seeing it when it moved. Hikers in Africa have stepped directly onto the snake's body and received a strike before they processed what was happening. The animal does not need to be fast. It does not need to be aggressive. It does not chase. It simply disappears and waits. Gaboon vipers have been documented remaining motionless in a single location for weeks at a time, waiting for a rodent, a bird, or a small antelope to wander close enough. Their metabolism is slow enough that a single large meal can sustain them for months. When prey gets close enough, and close means within roughly 1/3 of the snake's body length, the strike is sudden and total. The head lunges forward, the hinged fangs snap down and lock. Both fangs drive into the target simultaneously, and the venom glands, 2 large sacs sitting behind the eyes, compress, forcing venom down through the hollow fangs and directly into deep tissue. The length of the fangs matters here in a very specific way. Shorter fangs deliver venom into shallow tissue, muscle and fat near the surface. 2-inch fangs can bypass all of that. They can reach deep tissue, blood vessels, and in some strikes, hit bone. The Gaboon viper does not hold on. It strikes, injects, and withdraws. The whole sequence over in a fraction of a second. Then it waits again, watching the prey, following its scent trail if necessary. The venom itself is a cytotoxic and hemotoxic cocktail. Cytotoxic means it destroys cells directly at the bite site. Hemotoxic means it attacks the blood, disrupting clotting, breaking down red blood cells, causing hemorrhaging inside and around the wound. What this produces in a bite victim is a cascade of effects. Immediate pain, rapid swelling. Then over hours and days, the tissue around the wound begins to break down. In severe untreated cases, that breakdown can spread. Necrosis, dead, blackening tissue, can move outward from the fang entry points. But the volume is what sets the Gaboon viper apart from most other venomous snakes. A single defensive bite can inject an estimated 200 to 1,000 milligrams of venom. with maximum recorded yields from venom extraction reaching even higher. Compare that to a king cobra bite, which delivers roughly 200 to 500 milligrams. The Gaboon viper's individual venom components are not the most potent molecule for molecule compared to some other snakes. What makes it dangerous is the combination of extreme fang penetration depth, extremely high venom volume, and the destructive nature of the venom type. Deep injection plus large quantity plus tissue destruction equals a medical emergency that can spiral rapidly. Antivenom exists and is effective when administered quickly. But in the remote forest regions where the Gaboon viper lives, access to antivenom and hospital care can be many hours away. Time is the variable that determines outcome. Documented human fatalities from Gaboon viper bites are not as numerous as those from some other African snakes, largely because the Gaboon viper is not aggressive. It does not seek confrontation. It does not chase. Almost every recorded bite involving a human has been a defensive strike. The snake was stepped on, accidentally grabbed, or handled without proper care. In captivity, zookeepers and herpetologists who work with Gaboon vipers describe them as remarkably calm. They rarely strike at perceived threats that are not directly touching them. The disposition is almost patient, which makes accidental bites all the more dangerous, because the human who steps on a Gaboon viper in the forest is not expecting a strike. There is no warning rattle, no hood flaring, no loud hiss, just the leaves underfoot and then 2 inches of fang. The question that makes the Gaboon viper's biology genuinely fascinating is not just what it can do. It is why evolution pushed the fangs this far. The answer comes down to prey selection. The Gaboon viper is not targeting mice exclusively. Adult individuals regularly take larger prey. Rabbits, small pigs, ground-dwelling birds, and even small antelope like royal antelope and blue duiker. Larger prey has more body mass, thicker hide, and more tissue between the skin surface and the internal organs, blood vessels, and vital areas where venom needs to reach quickly to be effective. Short fangs on a heavy prey animal mean shallow injection. The venom works slowly, the animal runs, and the predator may never find the kill. 2-inch fangs solve this problem completely. They guarantee deep tissue delivery into prey of almost any size the snake could physically consume. The weapon is not extreme for the sake of being extreme. It is precisely calibrated to the size of the problem the snake needed to solve, and it has been solving it for millions of years. So here is the answer to the question we started with. A snake with 2-inch fangs can close its mouth. Not despite those fangs, but because of a hinged skull architecture so precisely engineered that the weapon disappears entirely. Folded back, sheathed, invisible. The Gaboon viper does not look dangerous, it does not act dangerous. It lies on the ground and looks like dead leaves. Its fangs are hidden, its patience is limitless, everything about it is designed to make you believe there is nothing there. And that is exactly what makes it extraordinary. Not speed, not aggression, not even the venom alone. It is the fact that the most extreme biological weapon a snake has ever evolved is also, until the very last moment, completely invisible. If you want more stories about the animals that have quietly perfected ways to be the most dangerous thing in the room, subscribe. You will not want to miss what is coming next. Next time, the snake that hunts in the ocean breathes through its skin and carries venom 10 times more potent than a cobra's. An animal almost no one has heard of, and almost no one who encounters it survives long enough to describe it. Words 1 to 15 contain an impossible structural claim. A snake with fangs this long should not be able to close its own mouth. None of the first 3 sentences begin with I, you, have, today, welcome, in this, or once. Open question established within 15 seconds. How does a snake with fangs this size actually function, and what does it do with them? Viewer would not click away after sentence 1. The paradox demands resolution.